Today we start immediately with a few bombes, some of them really unexpected. If we are speaking about timing, Manchester City, the Blues are again on Andrea Cambiaso. When I'm telling you again, it's because they were already on the player in the summer and they try to do it again this winter and maybe next summer. What is the answer of Juve? I will tell you in a second. The mysterious case of Dusan Vlahovic. Why is he not in that squad list? Is it only linked to injury? And then the good news, Alberto Costa is a new Bianconero. He should arrive today in La Continassa, doing the medicals tomorrow, latest on Thursday. But the extremely good news is that Juventus, they don't want to stop at only Alberto Costa. They are looking for at least one, if not, if they can, two extra defender, and that's where it would all make sense to sign the Portuguese defender. Pay attention, guys, because I know we are not speaking a lot about it. A bit because of Mercato, a bit because maybe we are fearing to go with our first loss of the season. Today we play Atalanta Juventus. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. We'll speak about Atalanta Juve, we'll speak about Mercato with some big, huge, hot topics. But before that, today I'm not asking you to put a maximum of like, I'm not asking you to subscribe to the channel. Of course, you can do it if you want to, but the huge big favor that Beppe is asking you is to go and watch the big vlog that has been uploaded yesterday. Supercoppa in Riyadh, a lot of footballs, 3 games, but much more than that. Discovering a new culture, a new country, meeting new Juventini of the world. It required a lot of work in terms of recording, spending time there instead of enjoying, really recording, watching, and trying to actually filter the lot of hours that we recorded, editing the video, that is actually quite good in terms of quality. Guys, if you didn't yet, please help me, support me, because it required a lot of work. If you could give a push to that video in watching it, I'm sure you will enjoy it. And if you enjoyed, share it with people that really want to, or to discover the Supercoppa, or even the country that never been there, that said, Beppe, what is Saudi Arabia? How does it look like? You will see that it's just really, really, really beautiful. You will enjoy it. Now that we said that, please help me. We go towards the game of today, Atalanta Juventus. Look, I told you 2 ways why we are not speaking about Atalanta Juve a lot. Mercato, in a way, because we want new faces, because we need new faces to arrive with Juve. We don't want to live again what we had last winter with Thiago Jalot and Alcaraz that never brought something to the Juve of last year. We really need seriously reinforcement, and that's why we are not speaking too much about the game. And also, let's be honest, we are fearing that Atalanta is at the moment higher in the ranking of Juve. Looks like everything is working. We saw what they did against Liverpool, we saw what they did against Leverkusen, we saw how they started this season. We are scared to lose our first game in Serie A this season. But on the other side, there is maybe something that is not bad. If you're looking at the last 5 results from both teams, they are exactly the same. If you go back to 5 games ago, Atalanta Cesena in Coppa Italia 6-1, they totally destroyed them, while we were destroying Cagliari with a 4-0. We play Serie A, both of the teams, Atalanta Empoli, they win with a gap of 1 goal, 3-2, while we are winning away from home with a gap of 1 goal against Monza, 1-2. Lazio Atalanta. Atalanta is playing a big team, Lazio, that was a contender for that top 4, like Juve was playing Fiorentina, also there, a contender for the top 4, and both of the results were a draw, 1-1 for Atalanta Lazio, 2-2 Juve Fiorentina. Supercoppa, it didn't go well for both teams. Atalanta eliminated by Inter 2-0, while Juve lost against Milan 2-1, and then the last game of Serie A against 2 teams of more or less the same value. Udinese against Atalanta 0-0, Torino Juve 1-1. So we see that the journey of the last 5 games, Atalanta and Juve, are quite identical. So can we see that today we'll go for another draw? Could be. On the other side, we know it. Atalanta is much more informed than Juve. They are extremely dangerous. I didn't go too much into tactics today, into techniques, into all the explanation about how you need to go and beat Atalanta. I think what we really need to pay attention for is that extremely aggressive ahead pressing of Atalanta, and then they go with a really, really, really huge one-on-one man marking. If there is one thing that I could ask Juve, if we are playing our game, if we want to play our game, is pay attention to that one-on-one man marking. And if you are static, if you are not unmarking yourself, you're dead. If you are static, if you are not able to find the spaces in Atalanta one-on-one man marking, it's over. The game is already over because they go full power with that positive transition or counter-attack, whatever you want to call it, and they have a lot of options to really, really be dangerous from the distance, into the box, in velocity. Ederson is the guy there in the middle of the field that you need to pay attention. Charles de Ketelaere, Lookman, and so many players also from the bench, like Samarsic, like Zaniolo. Really unpredictable players, offensive players. So Atalanta will be a tough one. If we go towards our squad list, what do we see? We recuperate Locatelli after that suspension game against Torino. Unfortunately, Conceição and Dusan Vlahovic are not yet recuperated, or at least not yet called up. If we go towards the lineups or predicted lineups from Giovanni Albanese, of course, a lot of criticism. And you know me, I don't criticize too much a predicted lineup because that's not always the reality. Sometimes it's a wrong one, so going totally crazy for a predicted lineup, it's not really my style. On the other side, it's true that Giovanni Albanese, 9.99 on 10, is always guessing the lineup of the day after. What do we see? Di Gregore into the goal, Savona, Gatti, Kalulu, and Cambiaso, and not McKennie on the left side. Locatelli is back next to Thuram in that 4-2-3-1 on paper. Yildiz on the right side for the third consecutive game. Koopmeiners again there as the number 10. McKennie on the left, and then up front Nico Gonzalez because Dusan Vlahovic is not there. If this would be the lineup, I tell you my opinion, I'm not convinced. Then hopefully we'll do well with that, but I'm not convinced because not only we see that McKennie has been changed in a total other role, but we see 5 players that are playing out of position. Kalulu, because we are obliged, because they are at the moment on the 14th of January, still no extra center back is obliged to play on that left side in the center of the defense. Kalulu is one. Yildiz, that is doing even well, but he's playing out of position there on the right side of the field. Weston McKennie, that would be there as a number 11 there on the left, up front, left wing, out of position. Koopmeiners, that every time that he's playing there is not in his position because we are never playing centrally, so we are never able to find him. And Nico Gonzalez, that is okay there, why not, but it's not his position. So we are playing with not only missing players a la Bremer, a la Cabal, a la Dusan Vlahovic, a la Conceição, but on top of that, a lot of players that are playing totally out of position. So my first opinion on that lineup is not a good one. It's not a good one. Then, you know it, Koopmeiners is there on paper, on the field, he's not really playing as a number 10, he's looking for his position, he's never finding it. Am I surprised that Douglas Luiz is not there? If I'm looking at the game against Torino, yes. If I listened to the words of Thiago Motta of yesterday, I knew it. I anticipated it, and which is a total pity, because Douglas Luiz was one of the best ones, like Bangula, another one that was one of the best ones in Supercoppa and in the Derby della Mole. So Bangula out for McKennie, I'm not sure if that's a really good one. Looks like Thiago wants to go a bit more defensively, maybe, with McKennie tracking back with more spaces for Cambiaso. Maybe that's the key, the idea of Thiago that I'm trying to find, because if Cambiaso goes up, McKennie can defend, while Bangula may be a bit less than Weston McKennie. I'm not convinced. Also because there is another potential lineup that could make a bit more sense with indeed Bangula there as a left winger, McKennie as a left back, and Cambiaso instead of Savona on the right side. Let's see which will be the correct lineup of today. But what is shocking, of course, is not seeing Dusan Vlahovic. Tuttosport is writing Juve con rabbia, with a lot of anger, Juve, but without Dusan Vlahovic. Corriere dello Sport is going a bit more in detail. La Juve sul lettino, Juve on the bed. Why? Because there are some players that are out of the squad list, but they're saying Vlahovic doesn't play and doesn't extend, doesn't sign the contract. And that's where we go towards some possible problems after that Supercoppa in Milan. Some people were speaking about a smile of Dusan when we conceded that goal against Milan. Again, I don't know if yes or no it was really a smile. But one thing is sure is the medical reports of Juve are not telling us that there is a lesion for Dusan Vlahovic, are not really telling us that there is a real problem with Dusan. Yesterday, Thiago Motta in press conference said we will test him again and understand it, so that means that he can even be tested. So not bringing him for a second game in a row with Juve could possibly be more a problem than that injury? Is that injury real or not? These are the questions that I'm asking. Is it Dusan Vlahovic that is angry? Dusan Vlahovic that is pissed off? Is it something that broke between the coach and the player? Is it the player that is already thinking about a new team, maybe even in January, and saying, I don't want to get injured and I prefer to rest? We don't know. One thing is sure is that Arsenal is still monitoring Dusan Vlahovic. There is not an official bid yet. There was one, but it was ridiculous. It was really low. But now Arteta, that is following him since a lot of years, could potentially even increase that offer. For what reason? Because we know it, Gabriel Jesus. Hey, now the reports are saying ACL rupture. The season could be over for him. They are looking for a striker. Could potentially go for Kolo Muani. Could even go for Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic, that we know it, let's not lie about it, will have his last season with Juve if he doesn't extend. Can he leave in January? It could be, guys. It could be. Pay attention. Vlahovic to Arsenal, Kolo Muani to Juve could possibly be taken into consideration. Let's see. Let's see. We'll talk about that again in the future. When I told you about City that is on Cambiaso, look, they were already on Cambiaso in the summer, 40 million euro. It's not even a secret. We knew about it. Juventus said no. Now in January, impossible. With all the injuries, with the depth or the non-depth that we have, it's impossible that he leaves, but they will come back strong in the summer. I would not love Cambiaso to leave Juve, but I told you, entering that top 4 that a lot of people were angry about when we spoke about top 4, that's also one of the reasons why you need to continue to be in Champions League, because Champions League gives you money, gives you prestige, let you attract new players and keep the best ones. If we don't go, Cambiaso at Juventus, the future could even be a trick. So pay attention, even if for the winter, don't be scared. One that will leave Juve is Danilo. He's already out of the team. The stop of the contract could be a reality in the next few days. So Danilo leaving for free without exit bonus. And for a Danilo that is leaving, there is the new Danilo, the young Danilo that is arriving, the one from Guimaraes, Vitoria Guimaraes. We are speaking about Alberto Costa. Alberto Costa, I already told you yesterday the qualities of the players, the weakness of that player. I was skeptical of having a right back. That was probably in defense the position that we needed the least. On the other side, if you tell me, Beppe, attenzione, because we could potentially go not only for a right back, but we could possibly go for, on top, 2 other defenders. That's where I'm telling, okay, you have a player that has been followed by Brighton, by Roma, by Sporting. They were serious on the player. You want to anticipate because you believe in him also for the future, and that's good. You anticipate with a request of money that is still doable for Juve. Also, the salary is doable. And you go for that opportunity, but you're still monitoring the defenders. So where are we about the defenders? The good news, written yesterday by Alfredo Pedula, is that Ronald Araujo, even with the injury of Inigo Martinez, even if winning that Supercoppa in Saudi Arabia, even if he was captain that he entered in that game, he still wants to leave Barcelona. And he wants to leave it as soon as possible. He already has an agreement with Juve. Juve is just waiting for Barcelona to let him go. Barcelona is a bit difficult. They know that they need money, but they don't want to let him go for too much loss. They said we want a certain amount. Some people are speaking about 50 million euro, which Juventus could not do. Juventus, they will push again with a loan, with an option to buy. Obligation at certain conditions. But Araujo wants to go to Juve, which is one of the biggest news of today's video, except of the game Atalanta-Juve, you know it. So that's a good one. The contract of Araujo is ending on 2026. He doesn't want to extend, so pay attention, because there Araujo could still join Juve. On the other side, if not, Juventus has still that plan B, and that is Tomori. Tomori that is playing as a starter with Conceição, but Juventus is still on the player in case Araujo would not join. What about the last name for the defense? Hanchko. Juventus, they continue to push for Hanchko. At the moment, we know it. Feyenoord has been clear, 100%. They don't want to let the player go in the month of January, but there are still 20 days. And Juventus, they don't give up on Hanchko. On Hanchko, at least, they go with a fino alla fine. And then, of course, we are speaking about offensive players. That the last name of today in that Mercato video or part of the video, Kolo Muani. And more we go, more we have information that Kolo Muani and Juve is closer and closer and closer. There will be a big investment from Paris Saint-Germain to Kvaratskhelia. Napoli will do a lot with that money. They are speaking about Garnacho, they are speaking about Zegrova, they are speaking about Chiesa, they are speaking about so many players. Crazy Mercato from Napoli. But Juve, they want to go for Kolo Muani. Now, the big question will be, Kolo Muani, Juve, yes, with a high percentage, but will it be Kolo Muani plus Dusan Vlahovic or Kolo Muani without Dusan Vlahovic? Big question. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Again, I repeat, if you didn't yet, please go back and watch the super vlog in Saudi Arabia. You will really make me super happy. Grazie. And we see each other for the pre-game, watch-along, and post-game of Atalanta Juve here on the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.